So today we have Sally Sherin, the lovely Sally Sherin, and she has a lot of friends on the Bogfrog group as well as mutual friends. So I know a lot of you already know of her. I've not known Sally that long because my journey's not been that long either. But when I first met her, I think it was at Knowlton, wasn't it? Probably.
I can't remember where we first met, Toby, but it was last year, wasn't it? Sometime last year.
When we went to...
it probably was at Knowlton when you were taking
Knowlton,
pictures at the autumn equinox.
Yeah, and Shirley Batty's house. So I got to know you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
People, which was quite nice. And Sally's always sort of struck me as such a calm and powerful person, and always very lovely and very nice. And she does QHHT, which I've written here because I can never remember what it means, even though I've done it. Quantum healing hypnosis technique.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well done.
I've written it down. She's a multi-dimensional explorer, light channeler, quantum healer. I got all this from Facebook, and living in the magic. So what I'm doing with these videos is getting to know you really and your journey of how you got to where you are now, because you've been going, you finished University of Nottingham in 1987.
Wow, you've done your research.
And apparently you went to London for a bit to do finance and hated it. So what brought you to Southampton? Because you're from Worthing originally, I think.
Yeah. Wow, you know everything about me, Toby. That's amazing.
It's all on your Facebook. It's quite easy.
Well, yes. I was in London after university. I did French at Nottingham, which was great. I loved French. I've definitely had past lives in France. I could speak it without trying, you know. It's a thing that I didn't need to learn, and it was just so easy. And anyway, I was in London for a few years after that, pretending to be a graduate, you know, sort of career person, and it didn't, obviously. I couldn't wear a suit. It was ridiculous. So yeah, I came to Southampton in 1990 to do a PGCE, teacher training, primary. And I've ended up here, and I was just coming for 1 year actually, and I was going back because I had a flat in West Hampstead in London, and I was going back to my flat, and I was going to teach in London, but that never happened. I think the vibration here, more to the southwest, even though Southampton's not, you know, particularly high, it just drew me out and I couldn't go back. So yeah, and that was when I started kind of dabbling in things while I was here. When I first came, really going to talks, I mean, it's like an early version of the positive living groups, really. In the early 90s, there was stuff going on in Southampton. I mean, I was ending up running some of it, but at the beginning, when I first came, some people I met were running, I think it was a weekly or a fortnightly talk, and they had people like the aromatherapy company, Culpeper. They had them come give a talk, and then they had someone else. You know, we did different things each time, so it was yeah, it was quite exciting actually. That time, there used to be a shop in Bedford Place in Southampton called the Stella Gateway, a spiritual shop. Yeah, because we've had this conversation, haven't we?
I don't think so. I remember
you were in Southampton.
I bought Shaymin MD, which is a book a long time ago. I mean, it must have been 25 years ago. I just got drawn to shamanism. I was going through a very rough patch, sort of depressed and stuff. Never did anything with it actually, but I don't know why I bought that book. It's just really strange. And yeah, so interesting times ahead, I think.
Probably had the energy of that book in where you were living. It was probably helping you without you realizing.
Yeah. So I noticed you did a light worker job. You started a light worker job in 1992.
Well, that's what I put to Facebook to, you know, because they want your occupation. Well, what's your occupation? That's such a stupid idea, isn't it? Having an occupation. We're humans on Earth living a high frequency life on Earth. We're not an occupation. So I put that just because I think it's who I am.
And that, I guess, is why you quit teaching, is it?
I taught in state schools for 5 years from 91 till 96.
Right.
And then I bought a franchise to teach drama, ran a drama academy after school on Saturdays for primary, well, and secondary actually age kids. I did that for 8 years. That was really good. It was development through drama, getting kids to use their voice and look
Brilliant.
up and look you in the eye and, you know, gain more confidence.
Yeah.
Drama's brilliant for that. That was really good.
That was sorry, that was quite a dark time, I think, because you had all the Nirvana stuff and things like that. Because I was
90s.
A kid then. And,
yeah.
I remember everything being all baggy and like just dark and dank, and that's my memory of that period compared to today.
Yeah, it's, I suppose the energy must have changed since then, mustn't it? Yeah, we've all gone up. Everything's ascending all the time. So I suppose But what I do remember at that early 90s, the Celestine Prophecy, that was when that first came out. And that had a huge impact on me. And I've had conversations with other people who've had the similar thing. When they were reading that book, they went out like I did, and I tried to do the things that they were doing in the book. So that would have been about 92, I should think. I was in Cumbria and I was walking in the fells, and I looked at a tree, you know, I was on my own, and I sat and looked at a tree to see if I could see the white energy or the energy around it, and I saw white. And that was the first time, that was when I started getting into, you know, what the energy is that's that we don't see, that we don't talk about, you know, that isn't part of 3D reality. And a lot of other people have had that as their way in when they've been reading the Celestine Prophecy. It was quite a transformational series, I think, for a lot of people. But when I was about 17, I did have a strong awareness that there was another place that was very green. I became aware that there was this green place that I missed. I had a longing for this place that was very green and very beautiful that I missed. And I didn't understand what it was. And then I went to university and did all the student stuff and sort of put it on a back burner. But then it, you know, I understand more now about what that is, that paradise. Yeah.
So what happened from sort of 1992 onwards? Because I did have to laugh earlier. You've left your job at Daughter.
Yeah. You
really
found
funny.
all this out on Facebook. That's hilarious.
2006. So what happened between 1992 and sort of 2000-ish?
Okay, in the 90s, so I was teaching in Southampton, and then I had my daughter in 2000. I was already going to all these groups and reading the books and everything in the 90s. And then what happened when I fell pregnant, I think, or before I was pregnant, was that I started looking at the nutrition and the physical body more rather than just the spiritual ideas. And I was unaware of what I was doing, but I was actually preparing the body to hold more light. And I didn't actually know that at the time, but I was looking into, you know, eating organically, obviously, and different ways for health to you know, so that my daughter would be born in a healthy body, to give her the best start. And then once she was born, it was a bit of an onslaught actually, because we went to a natural maternity centre. It was gorgeous. It was a lovely place, and I didn't know anything about vaccinations or anything like that. But I was already into, I mean, that's why I found that place, because I wanted to do prenatal yoga and have her be really relaxed for the birth, and I wanted to have a water birth. And anyway, so I think it was just after she was born, or it might have been just before, but they presented me with a load of papers. Suddenly, one of the midwives who was running a group, all about childhood vaccinations. And suddenly it was like, oh my God, you know, about the side effects and the adverse reactions and why they shouldn't have them. And so that really fast tracked me, actually, because you have to think on your feet in those kinds of situations, and you haven't got time to dither because there's a schedule, and they do it from day one. They do pricking their heel with something, and then they do a vitamin K shot, which I said no to. I said she could have it orally, and they thought we were really awkward, but we got it from the pharmacy, but we didn't do any of the jabs. So that was like a massive, I suppose that took me in a different direction a little bit while she was young, doing the natural, everything natural, you know, trying to breastfeed for as long as possible, eating organically, juicing, all of that to get so that she had the maximum benefit.
How's that? How old is she now? She's 20.
She's 22 now.
Yeah. So how's that panned out over time, especially considering the last 3 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, I look back now and I realise that in March 2020, I was so lucky compared to lots of people. I was so lucky because I'd been there already, and it was really stressful in 2000, you know, when she was born. It was so stressful because you're supposed to do what you were told, and you have all that thing about authority wanting you to toe the line, and yet you know something and you've got to speak out. And you know, I used to do things like burst into tears at the hospital if I took her there to be checked for something, and they had to go at me because she wasn't vaccinated, and you know, but I'd been there. So in March 2020 it was dead easy. It was like, oh, there's a virus coming. Am I bothered? Like, no, I'm not bothered about a virus. Why would I be? You know, it's, and then you know, it transpired that it wasn't what we thought, and everything played out, and it was just obvious what you didn't have to do. There was no point. A friend of mine actually said to me in March 20, you know what it's all for, don't you? It's because they want to vaccinate people. And I was like, really? Why would they want to, you know, why would they want to do that? Sure enough, yeah.
I remember saying that to my mum, I think, and that was just like few other people, like, this is where it's going, because you know, you've seen David Icke, haven't you, in person?
Oh yeah.
There was a video I saw of him. I went down the BitChute route the other day because I'm preparing for another meeting, another chat, which is a bit more detailed. Oh my god, like the crap on there. It's dangerous.
I haven't been on there for ages.
Yeah, we've just been talking all about that. And I saw it's on my site actually now. I put it up because it's quite interesting. Basically, how it's going to unravel. This was a 2007 video from David Icke.
From David Icke.
Explaining exactly 2020.
He knew
exactly what happened. It's just like,
I love David Icke. I mean, God, yeah. Talk about someone who knows everything. You know, I saw him in '92 in a small room in Portsmouth Guildhall, in a little side room. There was about 30 of us went to hear him speak, and you know, that's someone who knows everything. I mean, yeah.
And part of the Bogfrog group that I've got, I'm not sure if you know, it's actually there is BF Stealth, Bogfrog Stealth, which is...
No, I haven't really followed what that is. Tell us what it is.
I should have told you, I forgot the start. It's a peaceful pushback, you know, and protection really from online stuff, like just having VPNs, that kind of thing, all the way through to kind of peaceful demonstrations if necessary. Whereas BF Stealth is self-development. This is BF self, you know, protecting your energy, living a good life and being a decent human being, you know, helping other people, which leads me on to my other thing. You started setting up groups and bringing people together, and that's what you've absolutely excelled at on more of an energetic level, isn't it? Like the quantum healing, stuff like that.
So in about 2006 I started having people round to my house to, you know, I didn't really know what it was to do, but there was a magazine, well, probably still exists online, called the Cygnus Review. It's a book review of that used to sell spiritual books, and someone had an idea that you could have a Cygnus book group, and I thought, oh, that's great, because I'd already been thinking, how could I start a group, you know? So I did it. We we had a book for the first one, but we didn't really need a book, you know. We had them monthly in my lounge, and we got up to about 7 or 8 people, and because it got too big for the lounge, and then I had to make a jump to hire a hall, and so that used to be monthly in Southampton. In the hall, it was from about 2008 till 2011, and I did a couple of holistic fairs in that time as well. But then Jackie White came along, and I didn't need to keep running groups anymore like that, because it is a lot of work doing those groups. I mean, it's lovely, but it is a huge amount of work.
What kind of groups have you done? Because I know you've been doing like is it Thursday or something? You do like a meditation healing thing.
Oh,
discussing the other day.
Wednesday night healing.
Yeah, Wednesday.
That's been going. That's nearly 10 years old now. I started that in May 2013. That was just an idea. It was only going to be a one-off. I mean, I didn't know it was going to go for 10 years. I had absolutely no idea. That was a Wednesday evening. I had this idea which sounds a bit strange now, that because everyone accepts this now, but actually then this wasn't commonplace. I had an idea to see if distance healing would be good in a group, like a group distance healing. And that does sound very strange now. Everyone knows that it is, but then not many people did know about that, and I certainly didn't. And it was just an idea. So I thought, if I put this thing on Facebook saying I'm doing distance healing tonight, or, you know, it was in a week's time, on a Wednesday night at this time, and it was 9:30 till 10 p.m, and it still is. And it was that time because at that time my daughter Millie went to bed before that, so I thought I'll do it after she's gone to bed. She must have been about 10, I suppose. Anyway, so that started then, and 100 people joined the event on Facebook and took part by just lying down at home at the time I said. And there was so much feedback the next morning. I was blown away. There was so many people saying, oh, wow, so one lady said, I had a sty and it's just healed overnight. Other people, all different things, they were saying that they could really feel the energy. There were people contacting me from different places around the world saying, do you know what you're doing? There's this, I can see what you're doing. I couldn't see. I was just doing distance healing on a, you know, like on my treatment couch on a imaginary body. But so it seemed to be something that needed to continue. So that's run every single Wednesday. And it was quite interesting because the first Christmas after that, so that 2013 Christmas was a Wednesday, that Christmas day, and it was the 33rd Wednesday that we were doing the distance healing. Well, you can't make these things up, can you? And also that night I was driving back from my parents because I'd been there for Christmas Day, and there was this massive accident on the road from between I think it was between Chichester and Portsmouth. There was a big accident, and obviously it was dark, and I thought I would get home before the healing started. You know, that was the plan, was to get home before and then do the healing. But actually, because of the traffic chaos, because of this accident, what ended up happening was so weird. I was in the passenger seat, luckily, and just at 9:30 on the dot, our car actually was ushered through past the accident. So we've been waiting in a queue for ages, and I knew it was time for healing. And literally they said go, and we went past this terrible accident, and I was just fizzing all over. And that was the 33rd Wednesday. So you can't make things up. You have to just go with it, don't you? So that's still going, actually. And a friend of mine who you mentioned earlier, Helen Quayle, does it with me. So that's how I met her, was through the Wednesdays. She contacted me and said, this is really powerful. Do you know? Have you got any idea? I was like, no, I don't know. I just fizz.
You mentioned earlier about having the tree and seeing the white. I think it's so important when you're starting to gain your powers, because I'm quite energetic, but I'm still not quite realizing it. And it's so good to have tangible proof to some extent in a non-egotistical way that what you're doing is actually working, let's say, you know. If people are saying, wow, this is amazing, can you feel this? It's really great to have that.
Yeah.
If you hadn't done that group, you might still be sort of doing Reiki on your own or whatever, you know, with clients and things like that.
Well, yeah, I think you do need to follow those nudges, those mad ideas that you get. Like, what would it be like to do that in a group? You know, it's a bit of a crazy idea at the time, it was, but you have to kind of follow them. And it's probably like with you, what you're doing with this, you know, you're following an idea, aren't you? Some guidance from your higher self that's saying, Toby, start interviewing people and start creating these videos and archives, and then we'll show you where it's going bit by bit. That's how it works. They show your higher team, they show you gradually. You can't, if you knew it all beforehand, you couldn't do it, you wouldn't start.
In 20 years time we can look back and go, God, I wish I was that young again.
Yeah, you'll be able to look at the videos.
Oh my God. Oh, what a prat.
But you have to start somewhere, don't you? You know, like, so it all evolves, and some of the things you thought then, you know, you might not still think them, but you sort of have to go somewhere, don't you? And it's life's an experiment anyway, isn't it? I mean, what are we here for, you know?
I mean, we were talking before, and I was talking yesterday with Jackie about doing a big event for, you know, in the New Forest at some point, which, I mean, you said you can see it, I can see it as well.
I can feel the energy for that.
I can feel how difficult it's going to be to put it together. But it will be amazing.
There's so many people in this area.
I don't even think
the energy here is amazing around the New Forest. It's really key. There's a key part of the uprising of Mother Nature. At the moment, there's a huge surge of energy from Mother Nature, which tells me, well, you see, sometimes I feel maybe I'm making this up and maybe it's fanciful, but it wants to say that it's the Emerald Collective, and it's this huge, it's who we really are, and it's pushing through, and it can come up really easily in our area where we live. I mean, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's everywhere, probably it is, but it seems like people here have caught it or sensed it. We seem to be able more, we can access it more easily in this area. We seem to be more, I mean, I don't know if the rest of the country is the same, but there seems to be a larger amount of people in this area who are aware of all these things. Compared to the rest of the country, it does seem, and a lot of people who are in the rest of the country say to me, I need to come and move down there because that's where everything's happening.
You know how many people have told me that?
I know.
They're all coming from Bath and all over, you know, all over the place. But I think with the I live in the New Forest, it's just across the road, and I'm very, very fortunate because there's a Neolithic burial mound as well, which I go and lie in when I'm struggling.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
I do think it's all the woodland of the trees. Well, there's not that, there's all the trees and the natural animals, but there's a lot of standing water which you don't realize. So I think that might be something to do with it. There's water all over the place. It's under the surface because it's all basically compacted gravel and sand and stuff. I don't know. And there are a lot of burial mounds around. If you drive through the forests, and you can see them, you know, on the way to Bewley, for example, there's 3, I think, if not 4, and they're generally all the hills with all the sort of hawthorns on or whatever it is.
They have dragons inside.
Yeah.
Like Bolton's Bench.
Yeah.
With dragons inside.
Yeah, because I actually drove past and saw you the other day when you were with Adrian Lee and someone else.
Oh, that was funny.
That was like weird because I was there like a minute before you got there, I think, or a couple of minutes.
I think, you see, we don't know why we're taken to places sometimes, and you probably had to be there at the same time because we'd walked through the Stag Inn and then we went to Bolton's Bench, and you then went into the Stag, and because it's called the Stag, it's got a strong energy, hasn't it? And
it's combined with the fact my wife's getting fed up with me because I just look, and my kids like, where are we going? I go, I don't know. Like, how do you not know where you're going? I don't know, it's going to come in a minute. And we got to the roundabout. Either you go to Marchwood, Totton, or you take the left by Top. It's irrelevant. We got to roundabout. I was like, right, left. I know I'm going now. We're going to Bolton's Bench. So that was quite interesting, actually. And
it's so funny.
I'd only met you I'd only spent time with you about 2 days before, I think, at Shirley's, yeah.
Was
so
it then? I can't remember when that was, in October or something, wasn't it?
I've lost track.
But yeah, you do get drawn. And I think because Adrian we were only meeting before I was meeting another friend, Glynis, and we didn't know that he was involved in what I was gonna do some dragon stuff with Glynis, and then I was talking to Adrian about something else, and then we ended up all doing it together, which we hadn't planned. So he didn't know, you know, and it needed something happening there, and we just went and sort of got used, I suppose, as human energy to unlock something or witness something.
Isn't that cool? Yeah,
it's amazing.
I mentioned this earlier about egos in this space, and people that
it's really difficult to walk the path with your ego. Obviously you've got an ego because it keeps you alive and helps you drive your car and, you know, sort of do all the things you have to do and plan your stuff. But it's really, I found it really challenging to walk the path with integrity. And in my case, it's been more of a my ego sort of stops me going in front of people. It makes me feel self-conscious, and I don't. And then I think, oh, that's too silly. I must look silly. I won't do that, you know. And so I've had to kind of help it step aside, because this work is too important. And when the egos go the other way and they want to be out there, look at me, you know, which I don't understand, because I don't do that. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's got to be, it's the same issue. They've both got to be soothed. The egos have to be soothed and told, no, it's all right. You can kind of come along for the ride, but you're not running this. You're not running this. This is much more important than you. So it's not about you know, how many people are going to come. I mean, I've been running these groups that I do now, where we meet at, you know, solstices and equinoxes and have light circles, and it doesn't matter how many people come. It's always the perfect number. It's not about having 250 people or anything. It's, you know, sometimes there's 22 of us, sometimes there's 33 of us. You can't plan it, and it's always perfect, and it always does what it's meant. And the right connections. When you meet in a group, you get connections of frequency. So people activate each other who didn't know each other probably, and they didn't know that they didn't know why they had to come. Quite often they come and they sit there and they say, I don't know why I'm here, you know, and then it unfolds. And I mean, we don't even uncover everything that's happened, but we uncover some of it. And then there'll be all these activations taking place because people knew each other previously, and there's things within us that's, you know, like in a cellular sort of dormant way, that's waiting to be activated when it's time.
You have done QHHT, which I mentioned at the start, which stands for, I'm going to read this, a quantum healing hypnosis technique, which you studied this lovely lady,
Delores Canon. Yeah. I was very lucky that she came to the UK 2011. She came and gave a talk in Bournemouth one evening, and I was so lucky to know about it and go. And then it turned out she was doing the training on that visit while she was over. It was amazing how it worked out. Brilliant.
So what was the training involved? Was it like a long course?
No. Well, the first one I did with her was 3 days up in Oxfordshire, and she talked, really. I mean, that was what Delores did. A lot of you, I mean, anyone watching, probably you've seen her videos. I don't know if you have, Toby, but she's so knowledgeable. I mean, she's not alive anymore, but she was so knowledgeable. She knew so much, and she would talk. And she talked about how she carried out the sessions. She'd had like thousands of clients who she took into this deeply relaxed state to speak to their higher self. She called it the subconscious with a capital S, capital C. It's the same thing as your higher self. She would take the person into a deeply relaxed state. It's not anything mysterious. It's just the state you go to when you're dropping off to sleep at night and when you're waking up in the morning. Theta. It's not a big mystery. So the word hypnosis can put people off, and I don't really like using that word, but she had to name it something, so that's what she called it, quantum healing hypnosis technique. And it's basically a way of relaxing somebody into this place where they can access their higher self, and then keeping them there so that you talk to them. I mean, that's the magical part, is talking to them, because we can all go to our higher self on our own, can't we? But then you need someone to talk to it, her or him, to get the information, because your human can't necessarily always talk to your higher self and then back again. But if you talk to another human and they write it down, then they can ask your questions to your higher self when you're kind of in this altered state. And it's amazing how much information you can get about what the person needs to do in their life, and you know, how to move forward, and you get healing, and it's so interesting.
How many have you done now? It must be quite. When did you start that? Was that 2016 or so?
2011 I started.
11.
But I was only part-time because I was doing home education with Millie, my daughter. Yes. So I didn't have people every day or anything. But I've probably done about 300 or 400 by now. I mean, it's not the same level that Delores did yet, but yeah, a few hundred.
Because you've connected on a soul level with all those people. And what's like the most amazing thing you've done, or most, the things that stand out the most past your healing?
Probably think of a few things just randomly. I don't know if they're the most amazing, but I remember one lady who came a couple of years ago, and she had this bad leg, hip. She'd had a bad hip since she was 2, and she was probably in her late 40s. And it had always been a problem all through her life, this hip, and she didn't walk, you know, completely free of it. It was a little bit of a limp, but it was pain and awkward. And she did the session, and I can't remember what happened in the session. I mean, I can never remember all of them, but you know, at the time I do for a few days, and then it fades because someone else comes. But what I do remember is that afterwards, our Lou's upstairs, and afterwards she went up to the loo, and she came back and she said, my leg didn't hurt going up the stairs. And she was so used to it hurting. It took her a while to realise, you know, she said, I was just going up and I got at the top and I realised that it was completely free. And she came back down and she was saying, look, it's the same as the other one. And to me, I couldn't really tell, but obviously she could, because it was her leg. So that was pretty amazing. I've had people do interesting things like have their car break down on the way home to tell them, to reinforce a message that came through in the session, which they might have then forgotten or dismissed or thought, oh, I probably made that up, and they'd have gone home and got on with their life. But because their car broke down, it made them go, look at this. And that's quite interesting. That was about a year ago. I had a young woman who she was lacking in oil. Basically, she was dehydrated. She didn't have enough oil in the body. It was they wanted, her higher team wanted to tell her, you know, about how to take oil into the body, and I don't know whether she would have dismissed it. You know, they must have known that she would have thought she'd made it up and wouldn't have taken notice and gone home and got on with things, because they made her break down like shortly after she left, and she had to drive up to the Midlands, I think. So it was quite a journey. And she got the RAC out, and they checked the car, and there's something about the exhaust. He took the exhaust off because it was loose, but he said, you can drive home with that. Have you checked your oil? And she said, well, I tried to, but I couldn't get the cap undone. So he said, let me check it for you. So he checked it. There was no oil in there. So just telling her, listen, you've got to do those things that you told yourself, because otherwise your body's going to break down.
Yeah. I need to take that advice myself, as you know. So you've mentioned sort of the groups that you do, and do you feel like in the future that we're going to be able to, there is definitely a development of light and progression with people? I mean, I'm having conversations with people I never ever dreamt I would ever mention anything slightly alternative. So it's been absolutely fascinating the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Real sort of the opposite people the most negative people I know are saying, I want to come to one of your events, I'm fed up. Or the people talking about multi-dimensional stuff, it's just normal conversation. Because
that's amazing, isn't it? That we can actually be more free about what we know.
Yeah,
now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And 2020 obviously helped that massively, because it gave everyone a bit of a check, like, hang on a minute, what am I doing in my life? Move on to technology, which is really good, like what we're doing right now, for example, is, I think, helps in that, the collective consciousness, just education in general. There's talk of like a technological revolution. Do you think that we could do all of this if we got up to 5D quantumly without any devices? I don't know, Pam.
Telepathy.
That. Yeah.
Well, I think the internet is a stepping stone, because we're supposed to be learning telepathy, aren't we? That we're evolving, the humans are evolving, and that is the next level. And some people some of the time we are telepathic, we don't realize it, and we probably dismiss most of it, but we are telepathic. So I suppose this is helping us, but I've got no idea how long that takes to be fully telepathic.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dreaming with my wife. Well, she dreams with me. She's in my dreams. I've discussed that, I think.
Yeah, that's amazing that you do that.
A long time. She's literally there with me. I'm not going to go into details, obviously, but
you're communicating at a different level, aren't you?
She's with me in my dreams, mostly on and off. I think when she probably goes into really deep sleep, she's not so much. And I've tested it, and that's great. As I said before, you got tangible evidence that is real. I'm 100% sure.
She says the same details from the dream that you had.
She doesn't seem to recollect anything.
Oh,
it's just me that realizes it. Like she was saying, I wake her up when I move, but actually she knows I'm going to move before I even move. So and I change sometimes the subject of my dream, because I often monitor my dreams. I'm conscious of a lot of it. I change the subject to something she's not interested in, like chemtrails or something, or
like lucid dreaming. You direct it.
She's like, oh god, and turns over.
Yeah.
One thing which stands out, actually, and this isn't about me, is I was talking to a horse once, and I couldn't sleep for the love of God all night. I was chatting telepathically to a horse in my dream, very realistic, and I just suddenly asked. She just kind of woke up from deep sleep, probably, and was like, horse. She loves horses. Legged it across the bed and woke me up. And, I said, oh, stop reading my mind. I'm just getting to sleep. She's like, oh. So both of us we didn't say anything, like stroking my head. She felt sorry for me. Quite cute, really.
So it is that is telepathy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, for years in my family, there's been things about, I'm sure most people do this, where the phone rings and you were just thinking about the person who's ringing. You literally were just thinking about them, and then the phone rings. So you think, oh, that'll be so-and-so, and it is, and that's because you're thinking of them and they're thinking of you. I mean, they're dialing the number and you're aware that that's about to happen.
Yeah. I mean, remote viewing's been used by the CIA for 50 years, probably more than that. The Nazis were looking into it as well, weren't they? So it's been, that kind of stuff's been resurging for a long time.
Yeah.
Seem to remember I watched something with you where you went to the 8th century or something. You were like a herbal person. You built your own house. Is that right?
Yeah, in a past life I've done that. I've had a few that I've remembered where I've lived in the woods. In one, it was a very beautiful wooden little house that I'd made, where the inside was kind of varnished or treated. I'd made it nice with something, resin or something. The inside was the so all the tree trunks were halved down the middle, and the inside was all the insides, and then the outside was all bark. And that was beautiful, that little house. And I lived there. I mean, goodness knows when that would have been, 800 or something like that, AD. I don't know. I mean, it could have been any era, I suppose. But yeah,
before all the witch hunts, basically.
Before, yeah, it wasn't then. Although the people in the village didn't like me, I ended up being burnt because they thought I was up to no good. But I don't think it was the witch hunts in the, medieval times. I think I was there then, I think, probably, but that was different because I went to Norfolk, I went to Norwich, and they've got the place where they had a ducking stall in the canal there, and that felt really strong going there actually, and standing on that bridge and seeing that place, and it was like, whoa, oh my God. And I don't know if it was because it was like the one that maybe I knew, or whether I'd actually been to there, but I've been to Holland where there's places like that as well, and it had the same effect on me in Holland. So it's probably a whole it's probably like a kind of tribal ancestral energy that we're linked with. I don't know, some of us or all of us or groups of us. And so if we go to one of the places where it happened, we can feel that whole web of trauma that would have been brought into our collective consciousness.
And that was normalized, that kind of thing. And that was a time when it was, I mean, there's beheadings and, Lord of the Manor could do what he wanted with your wife kind of thing. And
but it's interesting how you see that quite a lot in the past life regressions, in the QHHT. Often you see times like that where the person has died a traumatic death and they've had those kind of tortures, and obviously no one who comes for a session, comes to my house thinks I want to have a medieval traumatic death. Obviously they don't, so they wouldn't make that up, and it's not up to me what they see, but it's what the higher self knows will take them forward. So if that's the thing that's been holding them back, then they get to experience that, the most appropriate thing.
And it's great that you can do that, because I mean, it's the hypnosis type of thing has not a bad name. It's quite funny, isn't it, when you see hypnosis shows? That's just entertainment.
Well, yeah, that's
what most people think of hypnosis, and it is quite bizarre just watching people acting like ducks or whatever.
And eating a lemon and thinking it's a peach, and speaking in foreign languages to each other.
I think that helps actually with regards to what you do, because it gives people like, how does that happen? It's like a very, very real thing. Your Auntie Bethel or whatever is, I don't know, rowing a boat on the floor. Do you know what I mean? And she's in the boat, which gets tipped up. She's all wet, that kind of thing. So that's unbelievable. That is actually, everything is there. All the information's there for people, basically. But getting out of that control system, whatever it is so tough. Going in on yourself, especially, it's very traumatic, I think, for people. So the service that you do is an absolute notch above kind of doing a reading,
well, it's very thorough. The QHHT session, it takes about 6 hours. Person comes for the whole day. So we get to know each other quite well. I mean, I really like that, because I don't think I would like people coming in and out, you know, it'd be too short for me. So it's quite thorough. And we talk for a couple of hours usually before the regression, so that I know everything about them, as much as they're prepared to share. I sometimes say to people, you can't shock me because I've heard everything now. You know, like whatever you say, I've probably heard something similar now, because people say everything, you know, and the more you can reveal, the more you're open to going into the session, and your higher self will know what needs to happen. But yeah, I think people, well, they haven't imagined what it would be like to give all of themselves out, you know, in one go. And sometimes they're halfway through and they say, should I be talking this much? I've never said as much in one go about myself to anyone. And I say, yeah, keep going, because that's the beauty of the process. You're actually letting everything come out, and it will pave the way for going into the regression, because it kind of loosens everything up. And then the higher team will work it all out. They kind of get everything into position. You can almost see it happening while they're offloading all their stuff. You can sort of almost see the how it's all kind of coming in for the patterns that they think are the most appropriate ones to clear. But going back to the traumatic deaths, this is quite interesting. What I've found is that in all the traumatic deaths that I've taken people through, they've all left the body in the sort of before it gets awful. Like they've all left it. They're all sort of looking. If you ask where are they watching this body burning on the stake, they're above. They say, well, I wouldn't be down there in that body. Why would I hang around down there? But the body's still alive and it's kicking and screaming and everything, you know, but they're out of it. And that seems to always happen. Yeah. So it's very reassuring when people know that if you're going to be in a traumatic death, your soul leaves and watches.
There's a lot of evidence of that as well, you know, sort of near-death experiences where people are watching themselves, and they've even given a choice. Do you want to go back? You're going to be disabled for the rest of your life, or you can move on. Because time doesn't exist on that level, does it? So it's kind of doesn't matter if you spend 2 hours worrying about it, because it all happens at the same time. Everything. That's what's confusing me at the moment, actually, with regards to linear time and 3 dimensions and stuff.
It's so confusing, isn't it? Because
there's so much out there, and we were talking about the misinformation and all the stuff going on, you know, like all the UFO stuff at the moment, which I'm loving that, because that's been my EastEnders for the last 10 years. And I've been telling people, you wait, there'll be disclosure at some point, and I think we're getting close to it. And it's just noise.
So maybe all the nonsense that they're doing now is paving the way for proper disclosure, the real disclosure. But at the same time, in our groups, we're getting contact with the star beings. You know, that's what we're doing. And we're doing that in meditations and with Matt Bell outside talking to the star beings. So we're kind of doing it through our heart and externally. It's quite interesting, as within, so without. That is how things move forward, isn't it? To go within, and the outside changes. And so if you're caught up in just watching what's going on outside, you know, all the different scenarios that are being offered to entertain and distract people, and you're not going into your heart, then it doesn't move you forward at all. It'd just be going from one thing to another, and oh no, look at that, oh no, look at that.
There's quite a popular picture out at the moment. It's a meme, I think they're called, where there's like they're waving like a virus in front of you in 1 year, next one's waving a Ukrainian flag next year. Then there's something else, can't remember now.
Oh, I think I might have seen.
And there's one that the UFO they're waving. A lot of it's always distraction, and I'd hazard a guess that all this is a distraction to take your eyes off of like
going within
death figures.
and it takes you into fear. And that's so interesting how that links in, like everything's connected, isn't it? And that's so interesting how fear links into what we were talking about earlier with the nutrition and paving the body's way to receive more light. Because when you're in fear, the cells like lock closed and they won't share their information and their fluids and their nutrients. They'll go like this when you're in fear, and they'll surround themselves with opaque material so that it doesn't let the light flow. So you can then see, can't you, how putting all that fear out there is going to get people like, oh no. And then of course the light doesn't flow in the body. They can't access the wisdom. When the light's flowing in your body, you're accessing the higher wisdom. So it's all about, that's what I think it's all about, is holding light in the body, really. That is where we're going.
Yeah, it's really difficult because I said I'm preparing for a chat with someone quite soon on future technology and the way things are going versus just living in the now and surrendering. And attention is it's so important what you put your attention to, and it's as if it is designed. I'm pretty sure 100% things just turn up. Woo, look at this, come on, moon landings, that kind of thing. And all the stuff you've never even noticed before, you've never thought about, even though you've been looking at things on and off. I see it as a hobby personally. I used to look at Richard Dolan's show, for example. He's quite big on the UFO stuff, UAP or whatever it's called. But I'm getting to the point now, I just want to flip in. I mean, I haven't watched the news and stuff for 15, 20 years, or TV for that matter, really, properly. I don't look at my Facebook feed. I haven't got a clue what's going on, and I like it that way. I know when it's a full moon, when it's a new moon, without even looking at it. I just know. Like yesterday, I went to school with the kids. I was like, it's a new moon today. I knew it's coming up roughly around within the few weeks. And when I was chatting to Jackie, I looked at the calendar. I was like, oh, it's a new moon.
It's new moon now because it's going exactly to the spring equinox. So you get the full lunar cycle, which starts now up to the equinox. And it's quite clever the way it's organising everything this time. It seems to all be like it's doing it deliberately to show us how this is how it works. And we want you to look at this. Because Adrian organising the Knowlton event for Equinox, he only managed to get the actual event with the parking and everything out on the new moon. I said it was like just the day before. It was literally for the new moon. And although he'd been wanting to get it up sooner and it wouldn't, they hadn't given him the link. He was waiting for days, and I said, oh, it's because it's when it goes out is the perfect time, because when it's the right time energetically, then it flows, then it's like meant to be, because it's the beginning of Lent, which is the same thing, isn't it? The moon, that's that lunar cycle, that complete lunar cycle up to equinox. This is what the church call Lent, about depriving yourself, but it's not actually depriving yourself. It really, what it was and still is for us, is preparing the body to hold more light, because at spring equinox there's going to be an influx of light and you want the body to be ready. So it's not about saying, oh, I'm giving up this thing because I'm bad and I've got to deserve this, so I've got to give up chocolate or something, and how good I'll be if I give it up. It's about looking at the body and saying, what do you need and what don't you need, and how do I make you ready to receive the light in a month's time?
Do you get a lot of this information from as you say, like a herbal witch woman or whatever? Do you feel like
I suppose I've got an interest in it, and like you were talking about, the information comes to you, doesn't it? So it resonates when you see someone else has said a thing and you think, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or some of the stuff I know from, I did a naturopathic nutrition training 20 years ago, so I know from that quite a lot of it that now fits for me. And I mean, then I didn't really pay much attention to things like solstices and equinoxes, but now I can understand that. I can understand how it all works, and I've been given through my higher self the sacred Christed cross, which shows me how everything works, so how it cycles within cycles, you know. And it's so obvious once you've seen it, you can't not see it. With the equinoxes and the solstices, it's clear there's 4, you know. It's not rocket science. And how everything, once you start looking at that, everything works like that.
Yeah.
And it's just cycles within cycles, you know. So it's new moon now, and then it'll be full moon in 2 weeks, and then it's new moon again, and that's the same thing, you know, on a different scale. It's the same thing as the cross with the solstices and the equinoxes, and like we're in solar maximum now, and that's an 11-year cycle. Well, you know, you pick it up without trying. It's not about needing to learn, but the right information comes, and then it's not, you don't have to try, because it's just like, oh
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting when that happens. I mean, I have always had that. I think it's like you read a thing and you think, oh yeah, why didn't I see that before? That makes so much sense. And then it leads to all these other things that fit.
Yeah, no,
it's interesting when the energy comes from the other realms. You don't need a microphone. This is what happened to me when I did this verse. I had to speak this verse at Knowlton, and I didn't need the microphone, even though we'd planned to have it. It was just, it didn't want it, because it wanted it to be raw.
Knowlton's quite interesting acoustically, I have to say, because I could hear my son. I was at the entrance, my son all the way by the tree. I could hear exactly what he was saying. So I think that there's some very something going on there with regards to sound. Obviously, it's an amphitheatre because you got the hills.
Yeah, they knew that when they created it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was partly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Presumably to bring in you know, to make it a place where, because it's a portal to the other dimensions, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. And that's a powerful place. Remember the first time I did the meditations on the day, I was just walking around barefoot, whatever. I didn't really feel that much. My God, me and Anya, we got home. I'm like, I just want to go to bed.
Yeah.
I was in bed, my whole body was going. Brrr.
Yeah.
About a week after I had,
you got activated.
Third eye activation. That was just bizarre, and bloody painful as well, because I had 3 different headaches from my neck, obviously. And
did you have the middle of the back of the neck, like just at the bottom of the skull?
Yeah, and I felt like I went for a walk, because I had to DJ a wedding. I went for a walk and I was just not in my body. I know it sounds weird to anyone that's kind of watching this, or a bit like, ooh.
Because the third eye, and if you look at the side section of a head, you can draw a triangle, can't you? From the third eye, there's to the back of just below the skull bone there. That's where it often vibrates for me. I think it's called Alta Major. And then down to I think it's the throat chakra. Anyway, it makes a 3-way. It's quite an important structure that we're bringing back. Like it's one of our geometries that we use to as part of our light vehicle, Merkaba.
I was going to mention a Merkaba a minute ago. Your diet's so important. But I've been actually studying that with regards to the chat I'm going to have soon with someone. And I mean, I've seen a Merkaba with Matt Bell, and it was quite big as well. It's bigger than any planet, like Saturn is at the moment, and it was just going colors going, and
wow.
What the hell's that? And it's like a light vessel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very high dimensional frequencies can use to travel space and time.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I've seen one. It wasn't anything else other than that. No way, you know.
You know, don't you, when you've seen it?
Yeah. And as someone that went to that session thinking, yeah, whatever, I'll see it when I believe it, in a neutral manner, I wasn't like kind of dismissive. That's
open-minded.
Yeah, well, I'm very open-minded, especially with the space stuff. We've discussed that. Not space actually, but vessels and crafts and things.
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen all sorts of, I saw this thing the size of a car fly past my house did I tell you that?
No.
I just walked outside. I was in quite a good zone anyway, but I saw this thing. It was huge, bigger than the car, probably fly 100 meters above my house. And the first thing I thought, that's a bird of prey, because it looked like a bird. It had feathers and everything. Obviously too big for a bird of prey, maybe a griffin, I don't know. And my first instinct, intuitively, that's multi-dimensional. So I ran all up, because we've got 3 stories in our house, ran all up to the top where my wife and eldest son was, who was 6 at the time, I think. They saw it, and it flew off in the distance, completely silent. And my son said, "That's a man in a bird suit." So how cool is that? You know, it could have been a.
Did it look like a bird shape then?
It looked like a man in a bird suit, but it was too big. And it was you know, when a peregrine falcon or something's in stoop and it's twisting and twisting, going ready to pounce.
Yeah.
It was like that, but going horizontal. It was kind of.
It sounds like a flying dinosaur or something, doesn't it? Reptile.
Yeah, and Jackie actually asked 2 days later. He's an ex-policeman. He's on sort of Gaia quite a lot. He's the kind of.
Oh, I've seen him.
This sort of guy.
He called Ray someone.
I think so. Yeah, she asked him, and you know, obviously he hasn't got the information. But I just wish I had my camera with me, having to see it from a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these things are here, you know, they're out there, and
it's about noticing them and acknowledging it.
Yeah, it's really interesting times. There's so much stuff going on. What advice would you give people that have woken up to kind of help them, guide them through to a more neutral, if not positive,
stable? Yeah. I would say, don't try to watch everything and follow every video and every article, because you actually can't.
Yeah.
And it takes away your energy. I mean, it is okay to watch some, but you don't have to keep up with all of them. It's impossible. You can't. You'd go mad. And so really the answer is within you. The answer is within your heart. And you can only go there quietly. You can't go there by looking at someone else speaking. You can get glimpses of truth when you hear people talking, and you can think, oh, I resonate with that. But you really need to go within your own heart to find that stable place. And for me, it's in nature. And I think that's key, really. It's been illustrated very clearly for us over the last 3 years that nature is the path. Nature is the true path. And the path away from nature isn't the true path. Which one do you take? It's pretty obvious. So go to nature and be there and be in communion with Mother Earth and through your heart. And that is where you will be still, you'll be stable, you'll feel secure, you'll feel more powerful, and everything then fades away and takes less of a oppressive you know, a kind of energy around you. If you're feeling fearful and panicked, things will sort of recede. And I have things quite far away from me now. I've got quite a big bubble, if you want to call it a bubble, of, you know, calm around me. I feel if I see things going on out there, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Do I want to get involved, or can I just laugh about it? Or, you know, how does it relate to me? Do I need to bring it in? Because everything you're seeing out there, if you're immediately bringing it in, oh, have a look at that, have a look at that, have a look, and then it's all inside you going round and round, all that aggro. You don't actually need it. So I think, yeah, staying in the now is good. Staying where you are, make your environment as nice as you can for being still, so you don't have to keep looking for distractions. I mean, it is hard because it's very exciting when things start happening. You think, oh great, you know, let's do this, let's do that, but actually the answers are within you, so you don't need to learn anything. You don't need to go on courses. You can get activated by different courses and books, but you can get activated by going for a walk in the woods as well.
I mean, when I've been struggling, as I said before, with the third eye thing, just walking in the woods around my, just near my house, and I've got that Neolithic burial ground which I often go and lie on. It's really nice actually, and there's lots of water around and trees, and I've got a beautiful view of this kind of old riverbed type thing, which goes off to nature. So I'm very privileged.
You're very lucky to have that to walk to.
Yeah.
Lots
of water and lots of trees. You live in the middle of Southampton, so where do you go? Because you live you live near Bitton Park, so I suppose that's the nearest place.
We've got the river at the bottom of the road with Riverside Park, and that is quite a long, you can walk quite far. It goes all the way along the Itchen. That's the River Itchen. It goes all the way along. I mean, you can even walk under the motorway. It's very noisy though, but you can walk up to Winchester Water Meadows. So that's, there is nature, and there's a couple of woods and parks the other way, that I can walk to. But yeah, it's not great when it's busy traffic. I don't really go walking on the roads in the busy traffic, because I find now I'm more sensitive to noise. I can't cope with those sirens. You get a lot of ambulances with the sirens going up the main road which goes over the river here, and it's the wrong frequency. I mean, it's deliberate, isn't it? The frequency they put on that is panic, urgent, emergency, and that's the opposite of our true, divine, natural self. So it's all taking away rather than coming in. And it's so interesting what they did. Has probably it is related, but it going into it with 999, how they did that with 999, because 999 is a really high frequency number, but isn't that clever to make it the emergency number? So it could always be associated with a panic. So it then changes the frequency, because it's the frequency of the mantra, the Kadosh mantra, and that will take you to your holiest place. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it goes Kadosh, 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 Adonai Chebayot. And if you say that 3 times, and that's the frequency of 999, you can really go into the high frequency straight away just by saying that. And then it kind of reminds you that you're not that out there. You're not, you don't have to run around and go mad and panic. What's
the other number? Is it 911? That's 911, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, and look at that as well. That's so interesting, isn't it? That's the American one, isn't it?
There's no flute that they had. So that's no flute they did on 911, is there?
11 is all the master numbers is the vertical axis of the golden crested cross, and all the 9 numbers is the horizontal axis. So you've got 11, 22, 33, and this corresponds to the human spine as well. All the master numbers, that's how light travels from the higher realms down into human form. And the love energy is the 9 frequency, which is the horizontal from heart to heart around us. So isn't that clever what they did with 9/11?
Yeah.
So that every time people say 9/11, it has the connotation of disaster.
Yeah, on a world consciousness level as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it hasn't kept humanity back. I mean, it might have done temporarily, but we're not being held back, because we know this knowledge, and we can cancel that. Now we know it, we cancel it every time someone says it. I just cancel everything every time I hear a thing that isn't part of my truth.
So with regards to life help, what would you, what advice or assistance what do you do, and what would you recommend other people do to be, as you say, as calm and chilled as you are and loving?
Well, it might look like I'm coming to that. So I am busy some of the time as well. And then I do notice that I get into a busier state of mind. For example, yesterday, my daughter was here. She'd been here for a few days over the weekend, and then she was going back to uni, and she didn't leave till about 1. So you know what 22-year-olds are like. Well, you know, it's all busy and happening now, and everything's important, and social media, and anyway, you know, and food and stuff. And then when she went, I had to take myself back. It's like, go for a walk in the woods before I started doing anything else, to just get back to me. And then you can see what the priority is, to go with, you know, what you want to create. Because you can spend your day just rushing around, can't you, doing things that are out there that look like they need doing. And it's important to go back within, and they'll resolve themselves much more quickly when you're in the aligned state, and things will fall into place. Like if you're making an appointment or paying for something or whatever it is you need to do physically, it'll work if you're in the aligned state. And that's a really good lesson. And I've learned that over the years, that, you know, like if you want to ring up a I don't know, HMRC or something, and you're going to be held in a queue for ages, and it's to correct a mistake on their part. You know, there's no point ringing in a fluster, because it never works. If you're in a fluster and you're annoyed because they've made a mistake, you know, you have to really, I've found you have to really go into your heart before you start the call, and then you're much more likely to get answered quickly, and the right person will deal with you, and it'll get resolved. Because if you go in a agitated state to resolve things, you just create more agitation. You attract the person who's in an agitated state, who comes to deal with you, because like attracts like. And then you'll end up, it'll go on for 5 more weeks of letters and phone calls, and you know. So yeah, I think just slow down. Everyone just needs to slow down, really. Yeah.
And that goes back to all the distractions people have. You mentioned social media with your daughter, and I call it pippity popping, because everyone's got these watches these days, and
it's crazy.
It's not good. It's not healthy. It depends what you've got.
Instant gratification, don't you? You can't sit and just
and you're trying, when you're trying to have a conversation,
keep looking to see if
I mean, that's quite important, I think. And also we've discussed as well, like not just limiting what you expose yourself to, especially, I don't know, just crap TV. It's all good to vegetate sometimes and mindless rubbish.
I still watch Star Trek sometimes.
Oh yeah, I love Star Trek.
I love Star Trek.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's true.
Yeah, actually, hang on. No, I won't do that.
The people who wrote Star Trek, I mean, they knew stuff, didn't they? A lot of those stories are channeled, aren't they?
Hang on, I will do it.
Oh, wow.
What are you doing?
Brilliant. We're in the shuttle.
Okay, back we go. So yeah, and how is there a process? Do you have routines that you go through on a regular basis, or techniques to calm yourself down and really get ground yourself, such as grounding, for example? Is there anything you do to do that?
I put my bare feet on the ground when I can.
Yeah,
that really helps. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling stressed, that really does help.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a bit cold, isn't it? But you sort of get good at it. You get better at it. Yeah, if you can do 20 minutes a day, I mean, not in this season, but even 5 minutes in this season would be great. If you can get the soles of your feet on the ground.
What about grounding mats?
Yeah, I've tried those. I don't really, I mean, I haven't got anything to recommend, because I never sort of persevere with things. I'm not a very structured person, and I've never really coped very well with anything external. So I have a few crystals, but I don't really use them, because I always feel going direct seems to be more effective.
Yeah.
And I seem to have some kind of consciousness that says to me, need that, and that's an extra faff. So I'd rather put my feet on the ground really than kind of get gadgets. I'm not really gadget person. I suppose I'm, it's like simple is easy. But when you said routines, I have to laugh really, because I've got such an aversion to routines. Such an aversion. I don't know why. It must be something to do with where I'm from or a past thing, but I don't really have a routine.
Yeah. I don't think you need to. I mean, you've mentioned I don't have routines either. I just live in the now. And sometimes I'll get up from my desk, go, what do I do now? I'll write lists. Oh, I'm going to service a car. Let's do that for the rest of the day.
Just pick one.
Yeah. And with regards to slowing down, I think that's really important. And that's what I've found in one sense quite difficult, in another sense quite nice actually, of just doing nothing. Since 2020, just do nothing, because I can talk to my higher self and get answers at the same time, which is quite
brilliant.
Most of the time stuff I've never even thought of, which is good confirmation it's working.
Yeah.
And I said, like, I think it's 2020, what do? I tried to set up a business for voiceover. It did not feel right. I was putting so much effort into it.
Effort never works, does it?
Well, I set it all up, and I've got a booth and everything here, and I didn't do it. I just, no, that doesn't feel right. And it actually said to me, don't do anything, basically.
Stop and do nothing.
Okay, so what do I do? Okay, spend time with the children and my family. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
especially while they're young, because they grow up so fast.
Yeah. And I'm still not the best father in the world, but I've definitely improved with regards to being a father and
being with them.
Yeah, and that's so important.
So important with kids to be present when you're with them, rather than to be on your phone or thinking about the next thing and not actually engaging, doesn't it? I mean, it's just obvious, but I think that's that must be so hard now, because my daughter, when she was young, we didn't have mobile phones. I mean, we might have had a phone, but we didn't have smartphones, So it came out of the bag to text getting bread on the way home, and then it went back in the bag. It wasn't a thing that you brought out and looked at. So I'm glad that I had that time with her, actually, engaging human to human. Because I see people out now and they're with their kids, but they're on their phone. They're looking at their phone and the kids are going along next to them. It's not great, really, is it?
I see it all the time in weddings and stuff. So I've got quite a unique, or very lucky to have a unique view on all these different types of people from all walks of life, different countries and things on a weekly basis. So and I run weddings from start to finish as well, so I get to know a lot of the people.
So you get to people watch quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah, and I underestimated how much that has actually helped me understand people and be more compassionate, which is it's all good to go around shouting at people, still, mask wearing, whatever, but they're in their space, they're in where they feel they need to be, and that's the way it is.
They've got a reason for what they're doing, whatever it is. You can't make people do something else. You can only show them by demonstrating.
Everyone has, as it's been proven by almost the most negative person I've known, asking to sort of come with me to Knowlton and stuff.
Wow, that's brilliant, isn't it?
It's proven that we are all capable of amazing things. We all have so much power. Like a nuclear bomb of energy, and that's what I would say. If there is a control system out there of some sort, I don't know. That's what I think they're absolutely bricking it over.
Trying to break. They're trying to break our human divine connection, aren't they? But we can't. It can't be broken, because we're a collective, and we've got our divine counterparts within us. That's what we're doing. The divine is coming into the human, and then we're invincible because we're so strong, we're so high frequency, and we become invisible then, literally. People don't notice you. You can go out and people don't even notice you, because you're in a different you're in a parallel reality. it?
Occasionally, I do come across people that I may have known in the before, that just can't deal with the energy. I remember when Tim was doing something at Carey's. There's a guy that works there. He was really struggling energetically, big time.
Because the energy would have been strong with the event that was being run. Yeah.
I felt really sorry for him, actually.
Oh.
So.
But it gave him what he needed.
He's in his place, the place he needs to be, actually. Interesting enough, he's a Quaker, which was, that was a heretic at the time, wasn't it? Because they took a lot of Buddhism, I think, and that they, rather than following the masses and doing what everyone else is doing, they taught each other to go in on themselves, didn't they?
Yeah, the Quakers, they lived in nature, didn't they? Still and quiet.
Yeah.
They knew how to kind of step away from the craziness.
Yeah, and that's like an earlier version of, I think, what's probably coming quite soon, or it's happening at the moment.
Yeah, like we've just got to focus on keeping light in our bodies and bringing more light in. So with this spring equinox that's coming up now, we've just got to take that light and bring it into our body just by seeing it going in, just by consciously bringing it in.
Yeah. Oh, and we were discussing, actually, I mentioned it to Jackie yesterday, discussing the potential of a huge event in the New Forest. And I think it would be a good time to start putting the feelers
foundations.
Because I can see it happening. I'm there. And I've known it. I've known it for quite some time, even before I knew any of you lot.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it and waking up. I wake up in the night with guidance. I mean, everyone does. That's how your higher self gets through to you, isn't it? And it's saying, showing it. Yeah. Showing it. And it has to be it's got to be in balance with nature. It's got to be in balance with nature. It can't be like a big corporate event with a lot of waste. It's got to be completely in balance with nature, with the whole, everything about it. Everything about it has to be in balance, the energies and everything. It can't be it can only happen when it's time and when it's
I can kind of see it on a farm or something like that, a retreat of some sort. It needs to be a big space, obviously, with multiple rooms and stuff, but
big green space.
Yeah, ideally.
Marquees, maybe.
Not in a city or anything, that's for sure.
No.
In the country, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So don't know, we'll see.
It's interesting, and it'll just, it's part of the new earth. It's walking into new earth, isn't it? Which is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which is what we're doing together. And although we still live in houses at the moment, I can't see that lasting much longer. It feels like we're meant to live on the land, and we've got to create natural places to be communing with the land and the water and the trees.
I've got a thing called Toby Trusts on my website, and that's what will, if I do start making any money from my work or whatever it is, it's all going to that, actually. So that's literally is going to be a piece of land.
Excellent.
With all sorts of stuff going on. It's going to be really cool. So it's going to have like ecotourism. It's got to make money as well.
That's really good. I think there's a few of us who've had that kind of vision, and that is a common vision, I think, that we hold, don't we? Collective knowing.
New Forest Freedom Group are doing the same kind of thing, helped with certain other people. And then there's another project that I know of as well that's very similar, like a well-being, health, kind of holistic type thing. Which is exactly kind of what I want to do as well. Which I've seen it from a child,
Brilliant.
My background is environmental, so it's interesting to see all of this. In 20 years, we can look back on this video.
And we can say, look at us then. Look how much we didn't know and how we've come and where we've come, and because it's going to be about living in community, isn't it? And about caring for everyone, so the old and the young and the animals, and everyone's got their own skills, and we can dovetail our life experience and our skills to help each other. And you won't need money, because you can grow everything and exchange things and, you know, look after each other's children or animals or old folk. If you know, if you can't be there for them all the time, it'll work out. I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's sort of the job of certain individuals like yourself to pull people up energetically, spiritually, without, you know, obviously not, you know, force them. You're just there.
Yeah.
And these groups that we're in, like Bogfrog, for example, or the New Forest group, and there's one in Portsmouth, Bournemouth, all these positive living groups, especially Jackie White stuff. There's a lot going on, and definitely we can all come together at some point and rise together. I mean, that's extremely powerful, especially you could potentially do it on a global level to some extent. Yeah,
well, that's what the Health Alliance people are doing, aren't they? People's Health Alliance, they've got it across all the countries now. And it's like, when an idea's time has come, it's time for it, and you can't stop it, and it's going to go global, because that's the human instinct, is to live like that. That's how we're kind of programmed, aren't we, to evolve into this new era.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's with the massive technology boom that's coming, it's going to be miles more easier, especially if we can do it without technology at some point. I never saw how 3D to 5D shift could possibly happen on a physical level, well, whatever this is. And now I've witnessed it, I can see how easy it is. I mean, I've had ascension sickness and pains and stuff. God, it's been horrible.
Have you?
But, oh my God. As well as waking up and third eye stuff. And it's been very traumatic, especially when you're going in on yourself and you see the truth. I mean, I've been sat on the kitchen floor crying my eyes out for hours, and then
have you?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's just the start of a lot of it, but it's great when you get through it.
Sometimes you can't understand it, can you? Like, have you had the heat where you get so hot all of a sudden?
I did, actually. Funnily enough, I did. It felt like a fever of some sort, actually, and it was directly after someone. That was the first sign of that there was some kind of a virus or something. I don't know. I went to do a wedding, and someone messaged me and said, "Are you all right, mate? The video guys got did," and I was like, yeah, whatever. Down the pub. I came back. I just went straight to sleep with my kids watching cartoons, and oh my God, it was just like, in the bed I was boiling, and then when I got out of bed I was freezing cold, and then I was ill with a really bad flu for a week probably. And I was
the body knew how to deal with it.
Probably, yeah.
Creates a fever to shake it off, get it out.
Exactly on the winter solstice, and the fever disappeared exactly at midnight. So that was weird. I was aware it was a solstice. But then I got I think it weakened me, and I got this flipping flu thing, which might have been or might not have been. I don't care.
It doesn't matter what it's called, though, does it? That's the thing. We don't need to label these things, because the body can heal itself given the right care. And in fact, the labels of things make it harder to care for the body, because you're going away from a whole into all these different things, and you're going off at a tangent all the time, away from the kind of truth or the whole energy that you are, because we're everything, aren't we? We're the whole balance of everything. And
well, I mean, I'm reading. I just finished reading Alan Watts' You're It from the 70s. He was quite ahead of his time.
I've heard of him, but I haven't heard of the book.
He's got a wicked laugh, but he's a very posh voice. It's quite interesting. You could tell he's a bit of a rogue, I think, which is quite cool, endearing. But what he comes out with is unbelievable, considering it was the 70s.
When it was.
Yeah, really good. Anyway, lovely. Okay. I wish I could talk to you all day. I probably could, to be fair.
I'll have to do this again, Toby. Yeah.
But I'm doing the general chats and background on people with a bit of information which we have done, specialist subject type stuff, which we've done anyway in quite good detail, and then the advice. So I'm going to come back at some point and then we'll pick a subject to talk about, because things are going to change. I mean, we were saying earlier how quiet everything is in the world stage, and it's a bit too quiet if you ask me.
So quiet they had to pull the aliens out of the hat.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, and thank you so much for talking to us. This has been such a lovely chat. You are the first one I'm putting out, so you'll be live tomorrow. I'm going to call it Wake Up Wednesday, I think. Just made that up.
Oh, it's going live. If it's Wednesday, we can say come to the distance healing 9:30 to 10 p.m. tonight.
Yes, that's the point. Yeah,
and that'll be something that will help you raise your frequency, because you just lie down for half an hour. It's dead easy. You don't have to do anything, and you're just in it. Just by intention. You don't need to say you're going to be in it or anything. It just happens. And people who inquire for QHHT, I suggest it to them, and some people are receptive and some aren't, and you know, and it's up to anyone how they want to use it, because it's free universal energy, isn't it?
Great. That's what free is good as well. Well, thanks so much, and I'll, as you say, I'll catch up soon, and send me the link to that, the meditation, if there is a link.
Well, there isn't really. I mean, it is on Facebook, but you don't need to know. There's a group, but you don't need to go on there to know it's on every week. So
cool. I'll just
there
put
isn't
it in
an online component.
Thank you so much, Sally. I really appreciate chatting to you. It's lovely catching up with, and all the lovely warm and calm energies really helps me every time I see you. So
oh, thanks, Toby. It's great to talk to you. See you again soon.
Okay, thanks.